Okay everybody, so because of various time constraints, I just want to say that this video will not be exactly like the others in this series. One of the reasons for that is being that the trailer for Spiral from the Book of Saul leaked last night, and Lionsgate has been working overtime to stop anyone from seeing it. You know what? If you ask me, it seems like they're doing everything in their power not to sell this movie to the public, considering we only have just a couple of months until it's supposed to hit theaters. I mean, seriously, at the time of recording this, we have less than 100 days. Come on, people, it's time to start putting official promotional content out there to get people excited. And look, before you go down to the comment section below, yes, I am aware that the previous Saw movies had a similar marketing schedule, but you have to remember how that played out in context. All the previous Saw films got trailer premieres during Comic-Con. Spiral really just doesn't have that option. Plus, in the past, the Saw franchise has been a reliable fixture for the month of October, with each film coming out nearly a year after the other one, and it did so for so long that it kind of became secondhand knowledge to those people who weren't even really paying attention. I mean, hell, it even became one of their biggest marketing phrases with, if it's Halloween, it must be Saw. And even though it is true that the 8th film in the franchise, entitled Jigsaw, didn't have that tradition by its side, it too had a trailer released around San Diego Comic-Con, and unlike this film, it is arguable that Jigsaw had a particular sense of mystery behind it. Maybe with the general audiences thinking to themselves, how is Jigsaw still playing games after he's been dead for over a decade? Or what are they going to do with John Kramer's character? Or whether or not they're going to bring back any long-standing characters, etc., etc., you get the idea. And perhaps on those passingly curious questions alone, the long-delayed sequel was able to bring over $100 million in the worldwide box office back in 2017, despite not being particularly well liked amongst critics and fans alike. However, that was nearly 3 years ago, and while it's been reported that Jigsaw was financially successful for everybody involved, it is clear that there wasn't enough trust to continue on with the story established in that film. At least not yet, or at the very least, not in the same medium that we have come to know and expect from this horror franchise. You know what? On an aside, it is kind of crazy how little we've gotten to see in terms of an extended world of content when it comes to the Saw franchise, as opposed to pretty much any other horror-related icon. So yeah, that's always been something that I hate, and I've talked about it a lot on this channel. Anyway, that's pretty much a condensed version of the situation that led us to the 9th entry in the Saw franchise that is being called Spiral from the Book of Saul. And while I'm sure that there's going to be a lot to discuss, especially with that name and when they drop the trailer officially, I just wanted to take today to share a little frustration over what really got us here. Look, I'm a big fan of the Saw franchise. If there's one thing that I've ever come to know about the hardcore fans of this series, it's that despite the cultural perception that people like these movies for the traps and gore, the truth of the matter is that the series' biggest fans love it for its dedication to its story, its characters, and their arcs. We love it because it gives a level of serious contemplation to its own continuity in a way that very few horror franchises have ever done. I mean, heck, it does that more than a lot of franchises these days. Nevertheless, I understand that you can't really maintain a billion-dollar franchise by mining the pocketbooks of some of its most hardcore fans. You need to try something different. You need to try to hook those who might have given up on the franchise, and you need to kind of recreate yourself. And that's exactly what Lionsgate and Twisted Pictures seem to be doing with Spiral. Unlike Jigsaw, this film isn't banking on a soft reboot using the same plot formula established within the series' most successful sequels. For that, just think of how the Terminator franchise deals with everything past T2. They keep redoing T2 instead of the first one because T2 was the most successful. Furthermore, this film really isn't even banking on nostalgia either. As far as we know right now, this film literally has no major characters from the original series coming back to it. On a side note, I really doubt that, but we're just going to have to talk about that on another day. And finally, and this one might slightly be cheating, But this film isn't fully running away from its own brand. Yes, Spiral is a new spin on the franchise naming scheme, but with From the Book of Saul being in the title, it should be clear to audiences that this is a new sequel within the series. Really, what it seems like this movie is doing is trying to reestablish itself as a must-see brand by hopefully offering a new and compelling story for audiences that might have grown tired of the world of Jigsaw. And you can clearly see that with the push for this new film being from the mind of Chris Rock and pulling in major talent like Samuel L. Jackson. At the end of the day, they're trying to say, this isn't the Saw that you remember. This is something bigger. This is something better. This isn't just another sequel in a never-ending horror franchise. This is a genre redefining work of art. This is something that you're going to be thinking about a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 even. And above anything else, you're going to want to see the next one as well, and the next one after that. But you know what, guys? I have to tell you, we've seen the trailer. And I'm sorry, but from what we're seeing right now, it doesn't look like that kind of a movie to me. I've been thinking about this all day long, and I just have to say, if it wasn't for the connection to the Saw franchise, I don't think I would have any interest in watching this movie in theaters, just based off of the first trailer alone. The more I think about it, the sadder I really get, because I really don't want to be upset or disappointed in a Saw film. Although I have before, but, that was in the past. I got over it, and I was still excited to see those films in the lead up to it. This one, from everything that we've heard about, everything that we've seen thus far, it's just not doing it for me. And more importantly, it's clear that they spent a lot more money on this film. They're putting a really big bet on the value of a high-quality horror film that just so happens to be the 9th entry in one of its strongest IPs. But at least to me, this isn't a trailer, this isn't a story, this isn't anything that screams must see. And honestly, after watching it and thinking about it, I am a little bit worried that my reaction might not be in the minority here. And a lot of people will find themselves skipping out on this film in theaters to focus on some of the more typical summertime fare. And if that's the case, it is really possible that despite everything they put into this film, we might not be seeing any bit of Saw-related media for a while now, until someone else comes up with something new and original to do with the series. One of my biggest fears when we first started hearing about this movie was I couldn't believe that Chris Rock was a Saw fan. I'm not saying that he isn't. It just kind of felt really convenient to have someone who's never really shared publicly how excited he is for one content or another, especially someone like me who's followed everything in the Saw universe for so long. Like, if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments, like, has he talked about it publicly before? Is this something that he's been gripping on, wanting to do, a story he's been trying to tell for a really long time? Or was just some kind of horror movie he wanted to make and they decided to retroactively make it a Saw film? I'm not entirely sure. But this is something that's just been flowing through my mind recently, and I feel like they were trying to capitalize on one of the things that we've seen. And it really does feel like they're trying to capitalize on one of the biggest points of media, at least in the horror genre over the last couple of years, is that comedians make great horror movies. We've seen it time and time again, and this kind of felt too convenient for a long-running horror franchise to just simply have a major comedian like Chris Rock dropping in their laps with the perfect story that they all really wanted to tell and had to be told for this franchise. And like I said, I really hope that I'm in the minority here, and I hope that when they finally do release the official trailer and we're starting to get a lot more ideas of what this movie is going to be about and how it is connected to the Saw universe and it's its own thing, then we can get really excited. Like I said, I have theories. I want to talk about this more, and hopefully I will cheer up, but because this is just my time to talk to you guys on my platform and in this way, I thought I would share my honest opinion on that trailer after having sat on it for pretty much an entire day. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. I hope I'm wrong about this. We're just gonna have to wait and see, but that's just my take.